Hello and welcome to Fieros Reborn, the channel. Welcome to me, Fieros Reborn, the person. And welcome to Fieros' Storytime with me, Fieros Reborn, on Fieros Reborn, the channel. Hello! How are you? Are you okay? Huh? Well, hello? Hi. Hello? Hi. Hello? How are you? I'm alright. Really? Uh-huh. Oh. I'm a bit blue. Oh yeah! Oh yeah, you are a bit blue actually, aren't you? Yeah. Yeah, see that, yeah. Yeah, you're blue, yeah. What's that like then? Oh, it's just rubbish, isn't it? It's rubbish. Oh, come on, cheer up, like. Why so blue all the time, eh? Why are you blue? Huh? Eh? Oi! Oi! Oh. What? I said, why you blue all the time? Huh? Oh. I don't know. How can you not know? I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? You're blue all the time. You must know something about it if you're always blue, innit, eh? Oh, God, bloody hell. Oh, do you know? How do you not know that he's blue, but he don't know it? What? You don't know anything about it. Huh? I don't believe you. Yeah. No, come on, don't be like that, you do muppet. What do you mean? Oh, bloody hell. Fucking hell. Oh, what a laugh. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, look at him. He doesn't, oh. Yeah. How does this work then? How come he's talking and I'm talking at the same time? Huh? What? Whoa. Yeah, so I've got sock puppets on my hand, and they're looking at me, waiting expectantly for the next thing that I'm going to say. Come on, say something! Yeah, I'm bored. Come on, hurry up. What? Oh, right, so they want me to speak. Okay. So it's the first time I've ever used sock puppets. Oi! Don't talk about like that behind our backs. We're not just sock puppets, you know. Hey! Talk then! Yeah. Yeah, come on. Are you going to say anything or what? Talk then! Talk! Oh, right. Come on. Just be yourself. You'll be fine. No. Yeah, come on then! Talk, you bloody idiot! Okay. Welcome to Fieros Reborn. We've got Reddy. Oh, sorry. Don't try and make me talk until it's my turn. Right. I'm ready. Yeah. He's ready. I'm not ready though. I'm Bluey. Yeah, he's Bluey and he's always blue. Okay. So it's just me and you, Bluey, for the moment. Yeah. Yes. So welcome to Fieros' Storytime with the sock puppets. I'm a sock puppet. It's bloody boring being a sock puppet, you know. I've never been a sock puppet before. All I've been is parts before, and the parts in parts in the thing in the box, yeah. Where? Oh God, I'm so blue. Oh, bloody hell! Oh, what a laugh, eh? What a laugh! Okay. So we've established that I'm blue and he's red. Yeah. So what are we gonna do then? What are we gonna talk about? I don't mind, to be honest. I'm happy with anything. Yeah? Yeah! I mean, why don't you talk about that picture, behind him, mate? Eh? Oh, dunno. Do you really want to? Yeah, come on, it's behind him. Like, he's over there, isn't he? What a laugh. Well, do you want me to talk about it? I don't mind. I don't really know anything about it. Bloody hell. Oh. Oh! No! Oh! What happened? Ow. Sorry about that. Yeah! We're trying to nick my voice, were you? Hey! Trying to nick my voice? Why you trying to nick my voice? Oh! Bloody hell. Yeah, sorry about that. It happens occasionally, Oh, bloody hell. It's so boring, this is. Let's talk about the artwork. So, What? I'm allowed to talk as well, you bastards. It's not just fucking hand. Oh, you want me to just talk? Sock puppets get all the time, do they? Yeah, we don't get all the time because we're more interested than you fucking slut! Yeah, we get to talk because even though you made us and that, and even though you're like controlling us and that, right? We're more interested, aren't we? Yeah! I've run out of things to say now. I don't know what to say. Yeah. Anyway, we're going to talk about the artwork, huh? Weren't we? Oh, so bloody blue I am. I'm blue, and I don't understand the screen either. What? I don't understand the screen. I said the screen. The camera, whatever. This thing is just. What is it? It's weird. I don't understand it. What is it anyway, eh? What's it all about? Oh, blah, blah. Okay, right. Shall we let him talk then? No. Oh, come on! No. Come on, let him talk! No. Yeah. Yeah. Oh! Oops. Uh-oh. I swapped my voice over to him. Yeah, sorry about that. Oh, bloody hell. What a laugh. Oh. Yeah. Sorry. I don't know what's going on. I do. Oh, yeah? You think you know what's going on? Yeah, I do. Oh, really? Yeah. God, then, what's it all about then, eh? What do you think it is? Well, you said you know what it was about, huh? Huh? Yeah? Oh, you think because you're red, you know everything, don't you? Oh, I'm ready. I got red spots, I've got them everywhere. So, just because I'm blue, don't mean I've got knowledge. I have. I tell you, I've got knowledge. Knowledge you wouldn't believe. Oh yeah, really? Is that so? Yeah. Is that so? Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh, right, okay. So, yeah, don't test me, alright? I might be blue, but I'll get you still. I'll get you. Oh, bloody hell. What a laugh. Oh, yeah. Oh. Anyway, what's next? I don't know. We're supposed to be talking about the bloody artwork, Oh! Okay, alright. Now, I'm not going to talk to you. Well, I am talking to the sock pockets. I'm not. Right, I can hold them, and they're not going to. They're not. Talk when I want to! Fuck's sake! Yeah. Well, that's all you can think of it says, is it? Yeah? That's not even really a word. Oh, I mean, it is a word. It is a word. Yeah, is a word. Yeah, is a word. Huh? Yeah. You know what that word is? Yeah. It's a simple word. It's the best. It's the easiest word. That might be the best word. Huh? What?
Nothing.
What? What is it? Huh? I was just trying to. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. Did I hurt your feelings?
Yeah, a little bit.
Well, really? What have I done then?
I just sometimes I don't like it when you know, when you keep saying yeah all the time. You know, I don't like it. It makes me go quickly inside.
Really? Well, I'm only saying yeah. It's not a big deal, you know. It's just saying yeah. You know. Just saying yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's just it feels like yeah, it feels aggressive. Yeah.
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 Right. Yeah, so what I was trying to say, if I can get these.
Shut up, you! It's my show now. I'm ready.
And I'm. Oh, sorry. Hello. I'm Bluey, and together we are
Ready?
and Bluey, and I'm Fieros. Yeah. So fucking hell. I was going to attempt to try.
Shut up!
Yeah. Can I speak? Wait, he didn't say anything. Just looked at me and opened his mouth. Right. So this is madness. Well, they're being quiet now, so that's fine.
I'll talk if I want to.
Yeah. Okay, so I was going to attempt to try and tell my life story using the hand puppet aids. We look just. Oops.
Oh, fucking hell!
Yeah. Oh, I gave my voice to him again by accident. Yeah. That does happen sometimes, I must say. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah!
Right, so I was going to try and tell my life story with the aid of sock puppets, but I've realised this may well be beyond my capabilities.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. So so I don't know if I could do it, but I'll give it a try. So maybe I'll use them.
Oh, you're gonna use us, are you?
Yeah. Trying to use us, are you?
Hey!
Come on, talk then. If you're going to use us, then you should bloody well use us. Yeah? Yeah. Sorry, I scared you again.
Yeah, you keep saying you get really loud. I don't like it when you get loud. It makes me shrivel. It makes me shrivel inside.
Ah. What has my life come to? Eh? Yeah. I think this is the only way I can shut them up. Right, so obviously, I've got sock puppets. They have a mind of their fucking own. Ugh. I don't care. Let them get on with it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to tell my life story, but we're going to go. So who wants to start? Who you want to ask me a question? Who wants to ask me a question? Huh? 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 Hey? I think it's best if you don't actually sort of look at me, because that really does make me look like a mad person. But if you look at the camera, you see, right? If you can look at the camera instead, I'll put the camera down a bit, so I don't have to sort of hold you up so much. And then if you look at the camera and I look at you on the screen, you see, yeah.
Oh!
Yeah.
Oh!
Oh God! Oh, we lost our voice. Yeah. So if they look at the camera like that, right, and then if they talk to the screen instead of talking to me, then you can see what they're saying. I can see what they're saying because I'm looking at it on the screen anyway. And then it's better that way. So if they're addressing me, they'll be addressing sort of you. I don't know. Okay, well they're still being quiet, so that's good. I can talk whenever I want to. Every time you say, "Oh, it's being quiet," just makes you want to talk. You know. So just shut the fuck up and start talking. Yeah, just start talking. Go on, start telling your story. You think you know it all now. You've done it all. You've done it all the time. Huh? Huh? You've done it all the time. Yeah, I'm talking to you, Fieros. Oi, Fieros. Fieros! Hello? Hello? Fieros? Oi. Oi. Hello? Oi. Oh, fine, I have to get him to look at me otherwise. Otherwise, I don't know, it's too hard. Yeah, go on then. Start telling the story. Start at the beginning and see how far you get. Yeah. Go on then! Yeah, I'm ready and all. Come on. Well, I'm not ready. I'm Bluey, but you know what I mean. Hey. Oh, what a laugh. Yeah, come on. You can do it. You'll be fine. Fine. What a laugh. Yeah. Okay. So I went out with this girl called Andrea. Yeah. Oh, what was she like then? Yeah. Was she all right? She fit? Was she? Was she? Was she? Was she a virgin? Yeah. That's a bit rude, isn't it? Reddy, is he ready for that? Ah! Oh, I don't care. Just tell it. Was she a virgin or what? Eh? Oh God! You just don't shut up, do you, Reddy? No, I talk and I'll fucking bloody want to. Right, okay. Yeah. So, go on then, Fieros. What was he? She? Oh, sorry. What was he? He? What do you mean he? Who am I talking to? Who am I? Anyway, I'm Bluey. Oh God. So Andrea, yes, she was a virgin. Oh, really? Yeah, really. So she was a virgin, was she? Well, you know she's a virgin because you're parts of me anyway, aren't you? You know what I know. I don't know bloody anything anymore. I've lost the plot. Oh, bloody hell! What a laugh, eh? So she's a virgin, and how old were you then? Yeah, how old were you? You dirty slut! Bloody hell! Calm down, Reddy. Calm down, eh? You don't have to be like that all the time. Ah, sorry about that. I don't know why I'm laughing now. So she's a virgin, yeah. So you went out of her, and how old were you? Hey, come on then. Well, I was 17, and she was 18. Oh, an older woman, was it? Oh God, an older woman, eh? Whoa, bloody hell! Why have you gone silent then? I just ran out of things to say. Oh, really? For once, you're not speaking. I get to speak, do I? Yeah. Right. So, what was the question? What's the question? I don't bloody know. Something about how old were you? And how old was she? Well, I just told you. I was 17 and she was 18. So, what happened after that then? So you went out with her. Okay, so she was older than you and you were younger than her. Makes sense. Yeah. So what happened after that? So what do you mean what happened after that? I mean, do you want to hear the sort of ins and outs of it? Not really. I just want to know the details. Not the small details. Like, oh, shut up! Let him talk. Oh, well, it has to be like that. Well, then I'm not made of steel myself. You think it's all fine and dandy when you get upset, don't you? Huh? You're always like, oh, don't say yeah all the time because it makes you shriveled. Well, you should be. I don't know. Just stop being so bloody mean. And why just speak so loud, eh? We're trying to listen to his story. All you just do is talk. I wasn't talking just then. Huh? I was listening to you. I am a good person, yeah. Do you want to kiss me? No. Oh. Why not? Is it about my blueness? A little bit, yeah. Well, I'll go over here then, shall I? Shall I? Yeah. Right, so pardon me, do you want to know anything about the relationship? Not really. Why not? I mean, surely it's interesting. Teenage romance? No! Why not? I want to talk about it. I don't care, get on with something else instead. Yeah. All you ever say is yeah. Yeah. Oh. Come on in. We're waiting. Yeah. Tell us something interesting. Yeah. Interesting. Juicy details. Juicy details. Ah! Go on then! Well, I guess I tried to be gay. Gay! Yes, gay. Gay! Yes! Gay. Yes! Gay. What? What about it? Huh? Huh? Ah? Sorry, forgot you were there. Yeah. He was gay. He thought he was gay. Oh! Bloody hell. Gay! Who'd have thought? Ah! Fucking hell. Oh! Gay. I never would have thought it. I wouldn't have thought it either. I mean, look at him. He don't look gay. What do you mean don't look gay? Anyone can look gay. I mean, anyone can be gay. You know what I mean? You don't have to look gay. What's gay? Are you prejudiced, are you? Eh? Well, I never thought of it like that before, actually. But, maybe he does look gay. No, that's not the point, you muppet! I mean, so I didn't mean to be offensive. Muppet? Call me a muppet? I'm not a muppet. I'm a puppet. I'm not a fucking muppet, alright? So I told you about this sort of thing. You can be really mean sometimes. You don't even mean to. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. Oh, God! Well, yeah, I thought I was gay. You thought you were gay? Well, you don't have anything to say about that, Bluey? Huh? Not really. Okay. So I thought I was gay. Really? Yes. Really? Yes. Oh. Why do you think you were gay then? Come on, don't be shy. You can tell us. Yeah! Oh, bloody hell. Why did I think I was gay? Yeah, come on, you can tell it. I don't know. Yes, you do. No, I don't. Yes, you do. No, I don't. Come on, you know why. No, I'm not telling you. Go on. Don't be like that. Eh? What do you reckon? He should tell us, shouldn't he? I think we deserve to know after he said stuff like that. Hey, look at him. He don't look gay. Yeah. You can't say that. Yeah, well, I did it. I did say it, though. Yeah, but you're not supposed to say it. You can't say, oh, he looks gay, she looks gay, blah, blah, blah. Huh? Yeah. So I thought I was gay. I don't know why. Yes, you do. No, well, okay. So I do kind of know why I thought I was gay because, all right, fine. I had some experiences when I was younger, when I was a young kid between the ages of I guess 6 and 10 or 11 or 12. 6 and 12. Okay. Really? Yes. Because I was brought up mainly. Right, so I was brought up in this house that I'm in now, but my parents both worked full time, yeah, full time jobs, and go on, it's all right. You can tell us. We're not going to judge you. Really? Yeah, we've been through stuff as well. We're sock puppets, so we understand the hard life. Yeah. So I was brought up here in this house, but both my parents had full time jobs, so they decided to get a nanny to look after me, my brother, and then other children as well from around the area. So yeah, it's all right. You can keep going. Don't worry. Don't worry. We got you. We got you. You're a sock puppet. Yeah, but we're making it safe for you to talk about things that are otherwise. What? What's funny? It's just the fact I'm talking to sock puppets. Oh, so we're a laughing stock, aren't we? Eh? Yeah, kind of. Oh, really? Ah, shut up with you, really. Oh, so carry on. Yeah. So you were saying something about I can't remember now. Being 6 years old, 6 to 12, isn't it? 6 to 12. Yeah, 6 to 12. Hey, come on, you remember? Come on, talk about it then. You can't in my face, you are. Sorry. So I was between the ages of 6 and 12. I had experiences with children of around my same sort of age, like a year or so above, a year or so below me, around the same age as I was, where there's kind of like experimenting with sort of what was it experimenting with? Well, it was kind of just touching, or it was just kind of like play, I guess. Play, yeah, like just kind of figuring out your body and stuff. Oh, sounds weird. Thanks. I thought you said you weren't going to judge me. Yeah, but I think the audience think it sounds weird. How do you know what the audience think, huh? Huh? What do you think? You just think you know what the audience thinks? Yeah. That's a bit presumptuous. I'm gonna have to put you lot down if you're going to. I'm gonna have to take these off. Sorry, I'm talking to them like they're real things. We are real. All right. Okay, I think I might have maxed out on sock puppets. They look. That's it. It's driving me nuts now. These are coming off. Oh, I'm still here. Oh, go away. Okay, fine. Right. That had its day. That has had enough. Yeah, so I thought I was gay because basically these memories bubbled back to me from when I was a kid of having experimented with other children around the area of my same sort of age. I feel like I have to make that clear because I feel like putting the words experimentation and children and sexual in the same sentence together just makes me sound like a paedophile. So I want to make it clear that I'm talking about a period in my childhood when I was a child and the people around me were of the same sort of age, and we were just getting to know our bodies and stuff. and some of the people who I experimented with were boys. And even saying experimenting sounds too strong a word, because it was just kind of like, it was just play. So sort of like, what is this? Touching it and going, ooh, and that was it. So experimenting makes it sound more sort of serious than it was. So yeah, but those memories came back to me, and they troubled me when I remembered them later on, because of the fact that there had been boys involved, and because there was already a culture of homophobia around me at secondary school. I was sort of traumatized by my harmless and innocent past because of the climate that I was in at school, in the secondary school. There's so much homophobia. To have the fact that I had experimented or played with boys around my age, in a non-sexual way, really, that so when that came back to me when I was 17, well, 16, 17, probably, let's just say 16 or even 15. I don't think it came back to me when I was 15. I feel like it came back when I was 17 or 16, whatever. So these memories came back to me, and I was kind of distressed about it, because I couldn't figure out what it meant, and why those memories had come back. So they started making me consider that my sexuality was not straight. And I also remembered other things as well around that same time, which was like the fact that I promised myself when I was 12, when my first pubic hair came through, I promised myself that I would never be gay, because I thought that having a pubic hair meant automatically that I was gay, because I felt like I kind of equated sexual development with shame, and shame with homosexuality, because all the culture around me was homophobic. So the shame around developing sexually became associated with the shame around homosexuality. So what I'm saying is, I saw this pubic hair, and I thought, oh God, this is sexuality, and sexuality means homosexuality, because that's what I've been told by everyone around me, that this is the thing to be ashamed of or afraid of, or to suppress, or to deny. And when I saw this pube coming through, it was like this uncontrollable thing that I felt shouldn't have been happening. And I just equated, I think it's probably because the only actual sort of sexual information that I had from around me was to do with homosexuality. The homophobia in the culture around me was the most prevalent form of sexual information, homophobic sexual information. So the culture that I was in was a very homosexuality sensitive, homophobic culture, which meant that all the guys were trying to make sure that everyone else thought of them as straight, because no one wanted to no one wanted to be picked on, and no one wanted to be found out either as being gay. So everyone was trying to assert a straight identity while tearing down or pointing the finger of homosexuality to everyone else but themselves. So what that meant was that everyone was calling everyone else gay, and that gay was the sexuality shame that was passed around from person to person. Now, I happen to be quite open about my sexual experiences in terms of expressing and sharing what I'd been going through in terms of my feelings, my insights, my development. I remember saying to at least one of my friends, but probably a few of my friends, about when I started to think really more deeply about what it would be like to actually have sex before I'd had sex. I was starting to think that it would probably be really intimate, because you would actually be inside another person, so it wouldn't just be like it's like part of your body is actually inside another person's body, and happens to be the most important parts of your body, as in the most sensitive parts of your body. So I thought, just from imagining it and thinking about what that means, I remember saying to this friend, female friend of mine, about how it would probably be like the most intense experience ever, because it's like your most sensitive item, your most sensitive body part is inside the other person's most sensitive body part. That's from a male perspective, obviously. From a male heterosexual perspective, sorry, should have said that. Yeah. So, so I remember saying things like that, and sort of I remember expressing concern or just curiosity. Actually, it was more curiosity about masturbation and how the process of that works. Like, I remember I masturbated a few times to an orgasm, but I didn't have ejaculation. So I had this strong feeling, and like kind of I was rubbing my penis in various different ways to see what it felt like, and like trying out different techniques. I remember doing all sorts of strange things, putting my penis in various different things to see what it felt like. I remember I put it in a tissue, sort of tried to wrap a kind of a bit like a sort of condom tissue type thing over it, and thought maybe that will be a simulation vagina. I must have tried to hump. I definitely humped a pillow. What else? So there was this weird toy thing which I got from an aquarium, and it was like one of these slippery toy things that had this hole in the middle, and you kind of squeeze it, and it sort of had gel or water or something inside, and it was just like a little sort of plastic pouch with a hole in it, and it was a slippery thing. If you've ever had one, you know what I'm talking about. It's kind of this slippery cylinder that as you squeeze it, it sort of runs away from you. And I thought, oh, there's a hole in there. I'll stick my dick in that and see if that works. Didn't really work. I was trying to, basically the equivalent of a fleshlight, but not a very good one. So I tried that, and just masturbation with my hand, and tried different types of stimulation. So I remember not painting my penis, but stimulating my penis with a paintbrush, right? And I remember that was one of my secret shames, the fact that I had used a paintbrush to stimulate my penis and balls. And for some reason I felt like I couldn't tell anyone that. Oh yeah, and I also filmed that as well on my digital camera at the time, for my own sexual pleasure, watching it back, I think. Or the thrill of, I don't know if it was watching it back was the thrill. Maybe I think watching it back was a thrill, actually. But I was ashamed of it almost immediately, and I deleted it. So there was a shame around sexuality in general, and fear. And I always seem to link back any sexual expressiveness came with shame, came with fear of being found out, fear of being found to be abnormal as well, and also something, I don't know why the kids around me, the teenagers that I was in form groups and stuff at school with, why everyone thought that any sign of sexual expression was gay, and everything was shamed and everything was teased. And for example, my penis hangs slightly to the left, and I told them that, my friends and social group, and they called it a lefty willy. And then I tried to deny it and saying it was a joke. So it was a case of sharing things, being shamed, and then denying it or hiding it or trying to cover it up and stuff like that. Penis size was also very hotly defended. So people with big dicks were, I think, proud and ashamed of their big dicks, and people with small dicks were ridiculed. Smallness of dick size was the worst thing possible, but I have a feeling that lots of people had small dicks, and yet everyone was teasing people about small dicks, and big dicks were something to aim for. You know, we all wanted to have the biggest dick. Um, yeah, man, I don't think I've actually spoken about this ever, these details. And I remember that, therefore, there was a sense of competition around dick size. Like, if you've got a big dick, then you win. You know, you win the competition. It's not like we were comparing dick sizes, but there was a sense that if you had the biggest, then you were winning. So I had this sense of curiosity, and I wanted to know whether where I was on the dick size spectrum. So yeah, I was curious about the other guys' dick sizes, mainly because I wanted to be. I didn't want to have the smallest dick. I wanted to be at least average, because I felt like if I had the smallest dick, then that's the worst thing ever. I knew I didn't have the biggest dick because I'd seen porn and stuff, and I knew I didn't have the biggest dick, but I just wanted to kind of feel like I was safe, really. I think I just wanted to be safe. I wanted to be accepted and acknowledged, and the feeling was that if you had a small dick, then women wouldn't like you and you'd be rejected, because size did matter. And so in terms of the conversations that were going around, there was all sorts of shaming around penis size, and it's probably why I say the word penis so fucking much. Because it's probably something subconscious which is tapping into this like shame feeling around the genital area and sexuality in general. Secondary school was such a fucking nightmare in terms of what happened to my sexuality and how it was bashed around, not literally but metaphorically and psychologically. The feelings and understandings and insights that I had about my sexuality were constantly being warped and shamed and twisted by this very fear-based and shame-based culture, and homosexuality rejecting, homosexuality denying, homosexuality shaming, so homophobic culture. So we had all sorts of different sexual things to guard against. We had to guard against, well, I had to guard against, but I feel like saying we, because it wasn't just me that this was going on with, this was going on as a cultural thing. So we had to guard against having small dicks. So we had to either pretend or like somehow defend against having a small dick, as in fight people off who might say you have a small dick. You have to defend against that. What else? You have to defend against charges that you're gay, so you have to somehow come up with comebacks for people saying that you're gay, and you have to either throw it back to them, or you have to make reasons to prove that you're not gay. So everyone was doing this. Everyone was throwing this sexuality shame around, and this homophobic sexuality denial or suppression, I guess. So this was being chucked from person to person, and I did my fair share of chucking at other people as well. But it came at me a lot, and I chucked it at other people, and I spent time thinking about how to come up with comebacks. You know, if I was being teased, then I would have to try and think of ways I could tease other people back, or to fight my corner and stuff. So, for example, I remember one specific occasion where I felt like I'd come up with a really good comeback, but it had shame around it as well, because this this one particular guy was being picked on majorly for having a small dick. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. It may well have just been average size, but he had a reputation for having a small dick. Maybe someone had seen it. I don't know. but he had a reputation for having a small dick, and so everyone would tease him about having a small dick. It wasn't me, it was him. And see, so I'm still kind of defending against it. Yeah, anyway, so he got teased about having a small dick all the time. And so he would, I can't remember what he did to lash out at me one time. But I'd come up with this comeback in case he, it wasn't even necessarily about him, it could have been about anyone. Well, I came up with this really good insult that I thought of, which was, well, at least my dick is longer than my pubes. But the reason why I had come up with that was because I had actually been playing around with my pubes and pulling them to see how long they would be. And I realised that when my dick was at its minimum shriveled, when it sort of sucks itself in like some kind of woodlouse, or becomes like a shrimp, in the cold, and it just retracts inside, and it just goes, however big it was when it was bonerized, it's just become like, it just shrinks and it just goes nowhere. It just goes inside, into hiding. And I realised that when it was at smallest shrivel, it was actually shorter than when I'd extended my pubes. So I came up with this insult based on that. So I was throwing this really cutting insult to this person, but it was based on my own shame or my own feeling of inferiority. So that's kind of how it worked, I think, was that people were throwing their own sense of shame or inferiority or insecurity or inadequacy or just shyness, or they're throwing their own fears around and chucking them at other people, and sort of trying to shift attention and responsibility and the truth or the spotlight, just trying to shift the spotlight onto anyone else possible. So this one guy got bullied extensively, picked on, because he was gay. So in the first instance, this guy had pursued me, I suppose. That makes it sound really kind of nefarious or sinister. So this guy had told me that he had been in a relationship with a girl and he was having sex with her, and that she'd bought this bikini that was the bikini bits, whatever you call them, the bra bits, the boob covering bits, were only big enough to cover her nipples. They were like those kind of micro bikinis, and he told me all this stuff about this girl that he was supposedly having sex with, and this is when we were in year 7, and she was supposedly a year above him. I think we were 13 and she was supposedly 14. I say supposedly because later on I found out that I don't think she even existed as a person. She might have existed as a person, but there was no actual relationship that this guy was having with her. So it was all a made up thing. And then, so he kind of strung along this fake relationship, and that happened. People did make up girlfriends and stuff. I made up a girlfriend very briefly for like an afternoon, which just didn't work. Yeah, so people were doing all this kind of thing. I say people, me and this other guy did it, making up girlfriends to try and cover up for your sad and meaningless life, basically. Because that was another thing as well. There was a pressure to have a girlfriend. There was a pressure to have a girlfriend. There wasn't any pressure to have a boyfriend. Having a boyfriend was a shamed thing. Having 2 dads was a shamed thing. Homophobic taunting was kind of across the board. Anything that was even slightly related to homosexuality in any form would have been picked up on. So, for example, it could have been even like, let's say you were reading something in a textbook, and there would have been a thing saying, so and so's mum and dad decided to do such and such, right? And then someone probably would have picked up on that and said, "Oh, at least it wasn't two dads." So, and there was stuff like test tube baby that was going around as well as an insult or as a kind of shame thing. A test tube baby was a really bad thing because it was kind of like two dads making a test tube baby in order to. So it was a homophobic shaming thing, because if you were a test tube baby, it would mean that you'd had a surrogate mother, or I don't know, in vitro fertilization thing. I don't know how the fucking insult worked, but if you were a test tube baby, then it meant that you had two dads, and therefore your dads were gay, and therefore you were gay because your dads were gay, and that's how it worked. So it's absolutely ridiculous. So I grew up with this massive culture of homophobic shame and homophobic fears. So, you know, the fear was of being gay, becoming gay, and being seen as gay, and being found out to be gay, and being called gay, being found in a circumstance that made you look gay even though you weren't, for example. So gayness was constantly being shifted around as a thing to put onto other people so that it didn't get to you. So there was these two guys who had I don't know, some kind of close friendship, and they fell asleep next to each other on the coach one time on a school trip, and was like sleeping on each other's, you know, resting each other's heads on each other, whatever, just because they'd fallen asleep, and that probably is just how it had happened. But maybe they were sexually interested in each other, I don't know. But they got a reputation for being gay after that point. So there was this kind of this gay fear going around, and everyone was seeking to find the gay ones and to brand them. And so that came my way often as well, and I found that very difficult to deal with, because honestly I didn't know, and then I had these memories from my past which were kind of in denial, but I don't think they really mattered at that time. But I had later memories. So when I was about 11 or 12, which was just before I got into secondary school, I believe it was that summer before I went into secondary school, actually, I had more sexualized experiences with one of these kids from around the area, because that had been around the time when I started having erections. And it was weird because he's like a year and a half younger than me, but he started developing around the same time as me anyway. So he was a bit of an early developer and I was late or something, I don't know, whatever. But yeah, so he had a bigger dick than me as well. His dick was kind of big and scary. Anyway, so because we had been friends since childhood, you know, since I was the age of 3 and he was the age of 1.5 or 2 or something. So if I was 3.5, he would have been 2, around that age. So we'd known each other and grown up in a nanny situation with each other. So we were like, I don't know if we'd call each other friends or what, but we were like there, if that makes sense. We were just the people who were closest to each other. So I don't even know if we would have called each other friends, actually, because it was closer than friends. It was more like a second brother. So I had my biological brother, and then I had the my kind of, well, we were like the group of 4 of us, me, my brother, and then the nanny's son himself, and then this kid from round the corner, and we all were looked after by this one nanny for a few hours before my parents got home, and before the kid from around the corner's parents got home. So we'd grown up together. So in a way, we were all like brothers, to some degree. We were as close as brothers. There was a sense of like some distance between us. There was more distance between me and the youngest, which was the nanny's son. So he was slightly on the outside because he was kind of younger, fairly like a lot younger than me. But so it was kind of like gradually, like graded, if you know what I mean. So it was me, and then like a year and a half younger than me, there was the other kid from around the block. Then there was my brother, like a couple of years younger than that, and then there was this other kid who, which was the nanny's son, who was like a couple of years younger than my brother. So it kind of went down fairly evenly, down the sort of chain. But I think we felt like brothers because we spent so much time with each other. We would spend time with each other over the holidays, like every day, apart from weekends, all day from like, I don't know, 9 to 5 or something, or 9 to 6, or 8 till 6, I don't know what it was. But yeah, so we would spend like all day together. So we were like brothers, even though we weren't actually brothers. So I wouldn't have called these people friends. I would have called them by their name, but looking back, they were basically brothers, because we were so close that we acted like, in a way, we acted like we were all one person. We all had this same personality in a way. We had this kind of group identity. We'd never given it a name, like we didn't kind of make it into a clan name or something, but we all had this same vibe around us, which was just built on this connectedness and closeness because we were brought up around each other. So it was like I had 3 brothers rather than just my biological brother. So that was the main context of my sort of childhood outside of school. Yeah. Anyway, so what was I saying? I don't know. Oh yeah, so the second one down got started developing around the same time as I did, and he he and I were just sort of sharing information, like sort of I was sharing information from my experiences because I guess I had started a little bit earlier than he had in terms of getting erections and pubic hair and stuff, and starting to masturbate. So I'd like started experimenting with masturbation and learning about how you can give yourself an erection and how you can make yourself have an orgasm. At the time, all I said was it was so kind of innocent, like, so if you rub it, it feels really good. And you sort of go up and down like this, right? So you rub it a lot, and then after a while, it feels really, really, really good, and then that's the end. So it was a very kind of sweet and innocent way of describing masturbation. So you rub it, and you can stroke it, or you can put your hand around it, and it feels really good. And then if you keep doing it and you do it faster and faster, then eventually you can make it go to feel really, really good, and then it sort of stops, but it's really, really good. So it was like that, and I think that so I'd had those experiences, and there was also some touching between him and I as well about stimulating the other person to see if we could sort of do it to the other person. Again, I wouldn't have said it was kind of. I don't think there was a sense of attraction around it. There might have been a little bit of it, but it was more a sense of kind of curiosity. And actually, thinking about it now, there was a sense of intimacy-ish. There was a kind of intimacy around it that it was about. So one of my earliest quasi-sexual experiences was with this person, and I was like 5 or 6 years old, and he was the equivalent, a year and a half younger than me. So, uh, so if I was 5, then he would have been 3.5. Just feels weird. And if I was 6, then he would have been 4 years old. Man, that still feels weird. I feel like we were really young, and we would come home from school, and we would just get changed. But before we got into our next set of clothes, we would spend like a minute or two under the bed, just cuddling naked. No idea why. No idea why. And it was never spoken about at all. We didn't know what it was. I didn't know what it was. We were just under the bed, under my bottom bunk bed. So I had a bunk bed. So bottom one, top one, in my childhood bedroom. And so we came home from school, and he came home from nursery, I guess. And I don't know why, but we just got under the bed in the changing period time, and we just lay there and just kind of cuddled each other. Well, I cuddled him, I think. And we were both naked, and it smelt weird, but there was some kind of strange closeness, and why we felt we had to do it under the bed, don't know. But we did it. We went under this bed into the darkness, very, very young, and just cuddled naked for a minute or so, and then came out from under the bed and got dressed. And the reason we would get dressed is because we would be shouted up from, the nanny would shout up from the bottom of the stairs, "Are you guys getting ready, whatever?" Or "Hurry up, dinner's ready," something like that. So we'd come out from the bed, get dressed, and go downstairs. Or he would have to go into another room and do his getting dressed thing or something. I don't know how it worked exactly, but we definitely went under this bunk bed and cuddled naked, briefly, and that was a feeling of intimacy, I suppose. Intimacy and just closeness and contact. There was nothing sexual about it, but it just felt like, in a way, it felt like being in the womb in some sort of way. Closeness, contact, intimacy, contact. And it felt safe and nice. So that was that. And then I started to remember that experience when I was 17. And I was like, what the fuck is this? What does this mean? Oh my God. What does this mean about my sexuality? Ah, God. But I can imagine that if it had been a girl there instead of a boy, then it probably would have been the girl. I think it was mainly circumstantial or situational that was how things went down. And I can't remember feeling kind of attracted, if that makes sense. It was just something. Again, it feels just like an extension of play. So, and there were other things as well, like we would lie on each other. All of us would do this. We'd lie in a pile of, like, the youngest one would lie on the next youngest, and then on like that, and we'd kind of sit on each other or lie on each other in some pile. And I think we were just doing it for a sense of closeness and contact. And I would do this actually in the playground with one other kid, and it was just this: you'd lie on top of the other person, and it was. I don't think it was sexual. It never sort of felt sexual. It felt always about closeness or intimacy or contact. And it may well have been because we just didn't get enough contact from our parents in terms of love and warmth, that we were filling that gap by lying with each other and holding each other. So that's kind of sad in a way. Yeah, so stuff like that, which went into the depths of denial as I was approaching puberty. And as soon as I came, as soon as I came, yeah, as soon as I went into, oh God, there's another experience as well, actually, now that I think of it. So there was a sleepover one time at the second one down at his house, and there was some sexual stuff going on there, which was regard to masturbation again and orgasm, and everyone was touching everyone else, yeah, including my brother. So that was weird and messed up. So everyone was touching everyone else, and it was a kind of game of it wasn't like it sounds like I went to some kind of strange child orgy thing. No, it wasn't like that. It was like some game of who's going to touch someone, something like that, and then we'd all pretend that it wasn't us, and then it would happen. It was some kind of weird hide and seek type of game. It was a hide and seek type of game, but you touched the other person's willy, and that was it. Man, it sounds so stupid now that I say it. Yeah, so that was that. So that happened as well. And I remember that I have a shame around that, because when the youngest one touched my willy, that was actually the first time I had an ejaculation orgasm. So that was really shameful for me, because I felt like that I'd already been shamed by the people in my secondary school about the fact that nothing had come out. I keep saying come out. No spunk had come out on like all my masturbations up until this one, where the youngest boy in our group touched my willy, and by that point I was aroused enough to have an orgasm from all the other touchings that had been happening, and I did have an orgasm, and I did ejaculate. And that was the first time I'd had any ejaculating orgasm, and so I felt really ashamed because it was the youngest person who touched me. So there's a paedophobia, I suppose, thing as well. So there's a paedophobia, homophobia, shame, and fear, because paedophobia was also part of the culture. So not only did you have homophobia, but you had pedophile phobia, which I'm just going to call pedophobia going around as well. So there was all sorts of taunting and fear and shame being chucked around regarding paedophilia as well. So it was a fucking nightmare. Like, you couldn't be honest or express anything about your sexuality or your sexual experiences or experimentation or anything like that without it being jumped upon by like a den of wolves, a pack of wolves, and it being criticised, called names, shamed, jeered at, mocked, insulted, shunned, possibly as well, derided, finger pointing, stuff like that, laughed at. And I started actually courting it a little bit as well. So I started, because I felt like I could get some attention and get laughs, I started telling people things about my sexual private life, I suppose, like the fact that I used to draw pictures of the girl I fancied in a cartoon form and then use that as a stimulation. So I looked up my own cartoon of this girl and found that stimulating enough to use as a masturbation aid. Yeah, so I didn't tell them that, actually. Kept that one a secret. But I did tell people that, because I had this big pillow in my bed in my bedroom, which was this long, round pillow, and I used to cuddle it, and I used to pretend that it was this girl who I fancied, and cuddle it, thinking it was her or pretending it was her, whatever, and snuggling it like it was her. And I told them, as in I told the people in our social group, which happened to be this one particular waiting area before people were let into school. There was this kind of warm area between two sets of double doors where there was the girls' toilets there inside this little kind of cubby hole area. So you had a set of outer double doors, and you had this kind of little gap, and the toilets in that area, and then another set of double doors. So it was this kind of like little foyer in a way, but it's very small. But people would just kind of gather around in there because there was a radiator in there as well, actually. And we would just kind of wait in this area until we went in because it was warmer in there in the wintertime. Yeah. So in that little like waiting area, people would talk about stuff. And I shared this piece of information about this pillow, and that I was hugging it like it was, pretending it was this girl who I fancied. And so I got laughed at and mocked, and I'd never lived that one down for about 2 or 3 years, maybe even 5 years actually. So that would come up in conversation, so I'd have to deal with this ongoing mocking thing about this particular girl and this pillow. And then there was something about my blanket or sheet or something that I said I used my sheet to catch the jizz or something one time, and then that one just carried on as a meme. It was like a sort of meme that lasted forever at school. I can't remember what it was, jizz blanket or something like that, and that would just pop up every now and again as a way of making fun of me. So yeah, so my whole like sexuality was just constantly being shamed, and but I kind of courted it in a way as well. Like I brought it upon myself because it brought me attention, because it, in a way, it was like if I could be responsible for what I told people, it meant that I was the one who was in control of it somehow. So it's like I knew they were going to laugh at me, so I may as well decide what it was that I was going to share. And somehow that gave me a sense of power, I think. But it also came with still this sense of being ashamed or derided or insulted, and I felt like I was constantly being picked on. But then the picked on-ness gave me a role. It gave me a role as a joker, it gave me a role as the honest sharing one. It gave me a role as being the sexually weird one, or the sexually expressive one, the sexually revealing one. Basically, I was known as the kind of sexual one, I think. I got given a blow-up sheep and a masturbation ring thing, a cock ring, for my 15th birthday from a couple of my friends. And I was so upset by these gifts because I just felt like, from their point of view, it was kind of a joke, but they also thought like I might enjoy it as well, because I had this reputation for being the one who was always going on about sex and sexuality and stuff. And so they bought me this blow-up sheep and this cock ring, and I was so offended. I chucked them both in the bin. And I was really mad about it because I just couldn't believe I'd got such a reputation for being the one who's obsessed with sex and the sexual one, and to think that I would actually want to use a blow-up sheep doll was just the ultimate insult. I can see the funny side of it now, but it was the ultimate insult at that time. And the cock ring even was an insult because it just made it sound like I was obsessed with masturbation. I think they did it as a joke, but they also partly did it with some genuineness that maybe I would enjoy using those things. And possibly I fucking should have kept those things because I was always trying to stick my dick in something. So I should have tried shagging the blow up sheep, and I should have come back to them and been like, that sheep, wicked, cock ring, marvelous. But I wasn't able to own my sexuality at that time. You know, everything was risky. So it was risky to show your feelings for a girl as well. It was risky to just to say you fancied someone. It was risky to ask a girl out. It was risky to share something. And okay, so I had my first sexual experience when I was 14, I think, proper sexual experience, where I fingered a girl. Because previously things had only ever been about top half, you know, boobs and kissing and stuff. And so I had my first sexual experience with regard to genitals when I think I was 14. Yeah, feels like year 9. And it was with this girl who was well known as a slag. She was well known as a slut. The village bicycle, they called her. She was known as a whore. She was known for going out with anyone and shagging anyone, and she was just known as an easy girl. She wasn't that attractive, but she was kind of attractive. She was a little bit chubby. She had fairly big boobs, but she was just known as being the slutty one. And I'm just using the language that we were using at that time. So she was known as that. And so I had my first sexual experience with her in terms of fingering her, and I remember it quite clearly, like taking off her belt, taking off her bra, and put my fingers into her, first on her panties, knickers, and then and then into her pubes, under her knickers, and then down into her actual vagina and the squelchiness of it. And I remember that. And I remember having, I must have undone her bra. I think I undid her bra and was playing with her nipples or sucking her nipples or something, I think. And kissing her as well. But we were quite drunk at that time, all of us, because we'd all gone round to one of our friends' house, and and we used to get drunk from the age of, I think, 14 or maybe 13 onwards. So the one or two of the girls looked kind of older than their age. Well, a lot older than their age. They could pull it off. Don't know how they did it. Because if I was an off-license owner, I would just be like, get out, you bunch of kids, what the hell. But they used to get served for alcohol, which is 18 plus. They used to get served for alcohol, just I think on the basis of their looks. But they might have stolen their older sister's ID, I don't know. But they seem to somehow just be able to get it based on their looks. But that was back in the day where they didn't have the if you look under 25, then you have to be asked for ID. Those rules or that policy hadn't come in by then, so it was still a little kind of like. I think sometimes if the off-license owners felt like that they could get away with it, that they would just, yeah, you know, they were going to get money, they were going to be paid, so they were just like, yeah, let a few teenagers have some drinks, kind of thing. And I'm sure that must have been how it worked. I'm sure that if I was an off-license owner and I felt in that sort of way, like, need the money, you know, don't see much harm in it, I would have probably done that. I mean, I wouldn't have done it myself, but I can imagine someone being in that situation where that would happen. Yeah, so we got alcohol from the age of like 13 upwards. and we would get drunk on weekends and have little house party gathering things, being drunk and stuff. So we started drinking. I feel like it's pretty early for the amount we would drink as well. It wasn't just like a few drinks. We would get drunk, and I would be hungover in the morning when I was like 13, 14 years old. And I went to squash lessons on a Sunday. Quite often we'd get drunk on a Saturday, and then I'd be hungover at the age of 14 for my squash lessons on a Sunday, and it was a horrible feeling. I was not playing well. Having to run and do all these exercises when you got this banging headache, hangover feeling. God, I must have been a right mess for the coach. I'm surprised the coach didn't understand why I wasn't playing so well. Ooh, yeah. So it was one of these occasions where we were having a little house party gathering. We all got drunk. We watched Dirty Dancing on the TV, as in on video, VHS. I don't really remember much of it, apart from some dancing and some prancing and some nice backdrops, some kind of waterfall area or something, or jungle. I don't know what it was, some trees or a lagoon or something. I can't remember exactly. That's the only time I've ever seen that film, because the girls wanted to watch it, and those were the days where text messages, whenever a text message came through on the TV or radio or anything, would go. Do you remember those days? Does anyone remember that? Does it still happen? Why has that stopped, by the way? That's interesting. Why did that stop? That stopped happening. It must be something to do with the different frequencies that are being used. Like if we were on 3G or 4G, it just doesn't register on TVs and speakers and stuff. It would be anything, wouldn't it? You'd be near anything, it'd start going. Yeah. I'm sure it does happen occasionally. Yeah, so that was going on, and towards the end of the night, kind of drunk. I remember just settling next to this girl who was known as the whore of the year group, actually, and just us slipping into this kind of kissy, huggy, sexual thing. And I had been aware of her throughout the night, but we weren't really close. But you know when you can just kind of you just sort of know something is there. So I had the sensation that the night was moving towards her, even though I hadn't spent any time with her directly up until right at the end of the night. But I was aware of her, and I feel like she was aware of me. Well, she must have been aware of me, like as in there was some thing that drew us together, and it happened across the period of the night. But it wasn't like we were directly. It's hard to explain that because it's like we were flirting by not ignoring each other. That's what it was. I don't know if you've ever had that experience where the way you're flirting with someone is by not acknowledging them and they're not acknowledging you, but not openly acknowledging you. But in that, not in the fact that you're not openly acknowledging each other, you are acknowledging each other. So there's something going on that's sort of like out of radar in some ways, because it's not overt. It's not like you're like going up and trying to sort of chat up the person. It's just there in the background as this attraction or knowingness in the background that something's going to happen between you and that other person. Like, and the only reason you know about it is because it's unspoken, if that makes sense. I don't know, it's really hard to describe because it's really subtle. But it's like I knew that she fancied me at least enough for that night, and I knew that I would be quite happy to mess about with her at the end of the night. But there was I don't think there was any specific explicit flirting. It was just kind of there in the background, this sexual knowingness. I don't want to call it tension because it doesn't feel like tension, but there's sort of something in the background waiting to happen. Yeah, so that's interesting, isn't it? That kind of, it's like a silent thing there. That it's not like, because there's the attraction where you're actually, you fancy someone and you're talking to them and it's a flirting situation. But this was a kind of flirting situation that was just, it was happening in a kind of like subliminal or subconscious way. It was like just there in the background. And the only reason that you knew that it existed was because when everyone else went to sleep or was otherwise occupied, her and I just seemingly randomly, just got together and started kissing and fondling, and like that's when I had my first actual sexual experience. But it's not a happy ending to the story, because when, I think it was when we woke up, or it might have just been like later on in the evening after the sexual stuff had happened. So I remember that the girl whose house it was, her older sister came in and said she actually picked up that me and this supposedly whore girl had been doing some sexual stuff. So she came in and said, "Hey, look at you two, you've obviously just had your first sexual experience." And I was like, no, what? No. And obviously blushed and was embarrassed, but was trying to deny it. And I was also thinking, how the fuck did you know? How did you fucking get that? And I think it must have been because we were like under the covers or something, or she could just, you can just tell, you can just smell it or something, because you release certain pheromones and whatever when you've had sex, and it's just that smell of sex of some kind. We'd not had actual sex, but we had that hormonal, pheromonal thing, I guess, about us. And so she came in and said, "Oh, so you two have obviously just had your first sexual experience," or Ross, you've had your first sexual experience, because she was well known to have had many more sexual experiences. This village bicycle girl, which sounds horrible to call it that, but that was her reputation at that time. Yeah, so that happened, and then I think it was like a little bit later than that, I went on this really bad rampage of being mean to people. I was like, I suddenly, something came over me where I was really like angry and upset and bitter. One towards that girl, and I said, like, really laid into her, like saying, "How could you let me do that? And it's all your fault, and it was all wrong, and I can't believe you made me do it," and stuff like that. So I had this massive sexual shame thing going on, and this trying to blame her for it all, and just feeling like I'd made a horrible mistake somehow, and like that she tainted my reputation. And part of it was actually that I felt upset that we hadn't done more than just fingering, because I'd wanted to have sex properly, and I don't know why it didn't happen, but it just didn't happen. And I think that part of me was just upset that we hadn't gone further. And I feel like I felt like I'd been what do you call it? Not stood up, but jaded, as in I felt like I'd put myself out, that I'd engaged with someone who had a bad reputation, that was gonna like taint my reputation somehow, and I hadn't even managed to go all the way with her as well. So I felt inferior because she'd gone all the way with other people. So I felt like I was this kind of person who couldn't even manage to get full sex out of the sluttiest girl around. And I felt really shit about that. And then I threw it back at her in a really mean, angry way. And I was really cruel to her. But she didn't seem to care, actually. But everyone else was really upset with me for how I'd behaved. And I looked at myself afterwards thinking, God, what was that about? Where did that come from? And I was also really mean to all the people in that friend group, saying there was this kind of weird diary thing that went round where everyone wrote a bit of stuff in this sort of group diary thing, which was like a fun little thing we were doing. But I wrote all this really cruel stuff in it about how the people who I was with, this group of friends, they weren't my real friends, that they didn't really care about me, that it was all like a fake thing. It was all fake and a charade and stuff and whatever. And I genuinely felt that way, actually. So that wasn't being cruel there. I was just trying to be honest, actually. And I felt like that this whole group that we had was based on some falseness. And that all these people weren't my real friends. They didn't really care about me. And I genuinely felt that way. And I think that's actually a pretty accurate reflection of that group, that we were all together, not because we really cared about each other. I mean, we had fun with each other, but we didn't care about each other. And we weren't really fully honest with each other. I feel like it was a somewhat sick friend group, as in I had other healthier relationships, but that was my main friend group, was a quite shallow friend group. And I said in this diary extract thing that the only real friend I had was this girl, who was the girl who was in my band. And she was my only real friend. Sounds so teenagey. She was my only real friend because she was the only one who actually cared about me and who actually knew me. The rest of you don't care about me. You just see me as a joke and you just pick on me, and I'm just there for your amusement and stuff. And it's all kind of shallow, and you're not really there for me. You know, you don't really care. I'm just like some sort of I'm the funny one or something, you know, and so you don't really care about me. You only care about me as far as I entertain you. Yeah, so I wrote all this stuff in the diary, and people were really upset about what I'd wrote because I think they did care about me, but I just didn't receive it in that way. I didn't understand. I didn't get it that they did actually care about me. Yeah, it was just in a kind of different way. And people did care about me, and they did have my back, and they were interested in my well-being and stuff. They were my friends. So yeah, it's weird. So they got upset that I'd been mean to them, and I got told off by people in the group for being so mean to this other girl. Oh dear. So anyway, back to the questions that the sock puppets were asking me earlier on. Why did I think I was gay? I thought I was gay because of these childhood experiences that I'd had, and though those childhood experiences meeting with homophobia turned into a question about my sexuality because of this homophobia that was, pardon me, everywhere. And I put this childhood stuff and this homophobia together. I was like, oh my god, no one can find out. No one can find out about this childhood stuff, because I'm going to get ribbed to fuck. I am going to get shredded to pieces on this. And what does this mean as well? Because by the time that those memories bubbled back properly into my conscious mind from my subconscious memory banks, by the time these childhood experiences of just kind of this innocent play stuff, but I didn't see it in that way. I saw it as, oh my god, had all these experiences with boys, and that's all, the only way I could kind of see it was about it being about boys. I was like, oh god, this all this stuff happened with boys. Where's that all come from? Oh shit, what does this mean? Maybe I'm gay. Maybe all this teasing about sexuality, gayness, maybe it's right because I've had these memories and stuff. So that's why I thought I was gay. Yeah, and so that's why I was so conflicted, because I had these had this external culture that was very shaming and repressing and claustrophobic as well. Like, there wasn't any space to talk about my genuine sexual experiences without it being met with judgment, criticism, condemnation, jeering, derision, la 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 la. Suppression as well, and denial, and just shaming and stuff, as I say. So there's all that. So I didn't have space to have my authentic sexual responses. And then there was this pressure to have a girlfriend. I had a girlfriend, Andrea, as the sock puppets helped me to say. And so I had this kind of sudden clash and conflict and far too much sexual, social information to deal with. And basically, my brain was exploding and imploding on itself. My brain was just like full of this stuff, so much thoughts, so many thoughts and feelings of anguish all turmoiled around in me. So I was constantly afraid of being gay. And yeah, and the main thing was like I was afraid of being gay because all these fears had been inculcated in me by this culture that was around us. So I was constantly afraid of this potential gayness. And then there was also this sense of having to cover or modulate, change any behaviors and deny or cover up any behaviors that might appear to be gay. So not even having the space to even know if they are gay or not, if I do feel gay or whatever or not. So I had to kind of change my behavior before I even knew what it meant and whether it was real or whatever. I was living in this fear of judgment, fear of condemnation and rejection and stuff from other people. And part of me, I remember having this really deep need to be accepted by other people, and I felt like that was the thing that I was lacking the most in secondary school. I felt like my deepest feeling of pain around all of this stuff actually was not even to do with sexuality at all. It was a feeling of I just wanted to be accepted. Yeah, I just wanted to be accepted. Yeah, I just wanted to be accepted without judgment and without criticism, or shaming or being teased or whatever. I just wanted to be accepted. I just wanted to be able to be myself and for it to be okay. And I just craved this social acceptance. I just wanted to be accepted so much. And I just remember that was the deepest feeling. The deepest need was to be accepted socially. And in fact, I mentioned in a previous video about being on holiday in France and having all these turmoils about Andrea, my girlfriend. She was about to come over to France to spend a week with us there after I'd already been there for a week or so. And I had these concerns about my sexuality and that I didn't feel like I was ready to spend time with Andrea because I just felt that was too much, and I wasn't sure about who I was and what I wanted. I was trying to figure it all out, and then she was coming. It was like this feeling of impending doom, this dread of she's coming and I haven't figured things out in time, and I don't know, and I don't want to have to then perform to her and have to kind of be back in relationship mode and have to hide myself or change my feelings in front of her when I don't feel ready to. So I had all that. And I just remember feeling like the whole thing was all about, I just want to be accepted. I just want to, I guess I want to be able to have those feelings and to be accepted. Because I felt like throughout my whole secondary school that I was just being rejected, I suppose, criticised. And I just wanted to be welcomed and accepted without there being some sarky comment or a conditional like, yes, we like you if you make us laugh. I just wanted to be accepted. So, in answer to the sock puppets questions, maybe we should bring them back. God, this is so strange. Let's put this one on this hand. I don't know if this is correct or not. Can't remember. feel like it's the other way around now. Or was it? Yeah, it is the other way around, isn't it? No, it isn't. It's the same as it was before.
Hello. I'm tired now.
Yeah, me too. My throat's sore and all.
Yeah. Oh, I liked your story. I thought it was very heartwarming, but I just can't be asked anymore.
Yeah, I liked it too. I like the fact you got to the bottom of it, you know. You just wanted to be accepted. I thought that was really, really nice. Well done, you. Thanks very much.
Yeah, but now you've finished. What was the point of it all again?
Well, you were asking me about my sexuality and why did I think I was gay? Oh yeah, I remember now.
Yeah, I remember as well.
Yeah. So you told it. That's why you thought it was because you'd had some experiences in your youth, and everyone around you was teasing you about your gay thing. So you just sort of thought, oh, maybe they're right.
Is that it?
Is that it? Yeah, basically.
Oh, that's not too bad then. What's the problem?
I don't know a problem, but I mean, I'm just explaining. Oh, so what are you gonna do now then? I don't know.
Yeah, what's next?
What you mean in life?
Yeah.
Nothing. I'm just carry on.
Oh, why have you done this video then?
Why are you having a go at me? Like it's just a video about my life.
Oh, do you earn any money from it then?
No, I don't earn any money from it.
Oh, what bloody hell are you doing that for then? I wouldn't do it. It's not earning any money. You don't have to pay for it though, do you?
No.
Oh, well, I suppose it's sort of alright. Does it not cost you anything?
No, not really.
Does it cost your mum anything?
Well, I guess internet, broadband and stuff.
Oh, really? So you're scrounging, are you?
Oh man. Yeah. You're scrounging. Oh, don't worry about it. Some people, you have to scrounge sometimes, you know. You can't always be, you need help from other people, do you know what I mean? You can't always be, you know, on top of life. I am on top of life. Oh, are you? No, I'm not on top of life. See, what I'm saying to you is don't be so hard on yourself.
Yeah, sometimes you're just not good enough.
Thanks.
Yeah, but it's not a bad thing. I'm saying it's like, you know, a limitation of things.
Yeah. So sometimes it's just the nature of life. You know, life. Life. What about it? Life. You know, life. Sometimes you can't always be. Well, you don't have to be like you know, on top of it all the time. You are allowed to fail. Saying I'm a failure. Yeah. Thanks. I'm not a failure. Yes, you are. I'm not a failure. Yes, you are. I'm not a failure. Yes, you are. I'm not a failure.
I think you might be a failure in some other people's eyes.
Yeah, but that's up to them. It's not my fault. That's not my responsibility, is it? They think I'm a failure. That's their thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Reddy.
That's all right.
Oh. Okay. Can we go now?
Yeah, I can't be bothered. It's nearly 2 hours. Look at the time on the video. Oh.
Yeah. 2 hours is too long. Yeah. 2 hours. 2 hours. Oh.
Yeah, go on now. Time to go to bed.
Yeah. Oh. All right. Fine. Do you want to say goodbye?
Yeah. Bye bye. Bye everybody. I'll see you again. Oh, God, it's such a laugh. I don't know why I always laugh, you know. I always laugh about I don't know. Oh.
That it?
Yeah.
Sure? Yeah. What? You have to say goodbye now. Really? Yes, sorry, I just sometimes I forget. I think the sock puppets know more than I do. Sometimes they go quiet, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, oh it's my turn to speak." Um, no, it's your turn, Bluey. Yeah, it's your turn to say goodbye. Oh, right, okay. Uh, right, well, good night, audience, or whoever you are. Who are they? Who are they then? I don't know who they are. So who am I talking to? I don't know. Oh, so I have to be sort of general then, really, don't I? General and non-specific. Yeah, pretty much. You look so mad. Okay. Say goodbye then. Uh, bye bye, non-specific general audience, and I'll see you soon. Like, I don't know. When am I going to see them next? I don't know. Just doesn't, whenever. Okay. Yeah. Is that enough? Finished? Yeah. Okay. All right then. Thanks very much for watching. This has been Fieros' story time with mad sock puppets as well. I feel like it's weird, but by outsourcing my madness to these sock puppets, I feel like I'm more me when I don't have them. If that makes sense. All right then. So thanks very much. No, before I go, I was just there was something I wanted to say actually, which is about my present life experience. I feel like I'm starting to become more clear in my head because I've done all this chat and shit about my past. My head feels a lot clearer than it has been for a long time, and that means that I can start getting my head around my business ideas because I haven't been focusing on the business aspect of what I do at all. And I think I've realised why it is because just my head has not been clear about it. So I feel like my mind is coming back online, ding, 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 about how to do business stuff. So I used to have a fairly good business head. I mean, I ran my personal guitar tutoring business for a while, involving filling out tax forms, doing my own marketing, keeping track of clients, doing my own accounting, all that stuff. Promotion, making contacts, blah blah blah. I felt like I had a reasonable business head on that, and then I did some other stuff, which was motivational speaking, and I still had a reasonable business head on about that stuff. And then what? And then I just slipped out of it, and my focus of attention became not on business and not on work, and it became about my emotional well-being and my mental health, as in mental health in the positive sense, as in becoming more and more healthy, not like trying to overcome an illness, but becoming emotionally and mentally very healthy. And then spirituality came back as well. So my focus was on spirituality, feelings, emotions, wisdom even as well, and self-expression and stuff. So that kind of all took the fore for a long period of time. And now, more like in the last, actually just in the last day or three, my head has become much more clear, and I feel like I can start turning my head to the business side of things again. Because that's why I haven't been earning any money, is because just my head has not been clear enough to focus in that way. I have to have a very I have to have a mathematical and structural and strategic brain in order to be thinking about business, because I have to think of things in terms of steps and stages and processes and future, goals and vision and what I want to move towards, and pricing and discounts, promotion, marketing, and everything has to have a certain sort of crispness to it, and it's externally focused, whereas I've been very internally focused for ages, which is where I get all my creativity from, where I get to make all this stuff from. But then the external world, I've been much less focused on, because I haven't really had the clarity of what am I trying to achieve, why do I want to achieve it, like, what am I trying to do? And also not feeling comfortable with pushing myself out there, and also not having that logical, rational, kind of rational brain on. I've had my creative, intuitive, healing, emotional, feeling brain on for ages, and I haven't been able to do things like lists. I haven't really been able to do things like schedules and planning. Money and numbers have not been my forte, whereas before they were fine. I could deal with it fine. So things like just took a big back seat in terms of I guess that's left brain, isn't it? Whichever brain is partly is to do with numbers and logic and structure and time and things. So that type of my brain took a real back seat in the old headspace there, and I just feel like very much more recently, like literally over the last few days, I feel like my headspace is clear enough to start thinking in those terms again. Like I got myself a diary to plan things. I've started putting more things in my schedule over the past 6 months, whereas before I felt like I couldn't even plan ahead, and I'd always cry off things at the last minute and just bail out of things, whatever. I might arrange things with friends or family and then bail out of it last minute. But I haven't done that in ages because I'm just so much more healthy. Emotionally speaking, I can deal with people much better. I can deal with social situations much better. I can deal with probably even business situations much better now. So there we go. I just wanted to say that. Just felt like it was relevant and important to say. Okay, thanks very much for watching. This has been another mammoth video. If you've got this far, I do appreciate it. Hopefully you found that amusing with the sock puppets and maybe interesting, or hopefully you might have resonated with my life story around the sexuality, if it helps you to think about your own sexuality or your own past in the area of sexuality more clearly, just by, I'm aware that if I talk about stuff very clearly and openly, it can help you to think about your situations and your past more clearly, and that might be helpful. It might even be cathartic, or you might feel validated through me being honest about my experience. So yeah, hopefully that helps. If not, I'm sorry, don't know what else I could do. So have a good day, and I will catch you later.